And we are back. The Premier League returns this weekend, and it is non-stop Premier League and Champions League action from here all the way until the World Cup. We've got 7 weeks of non-stop content on this channel, and then it will be daily from that point onwards during the World Cup. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on anything that is going to be going on over the coming weeks. And as always, thank you for your support, and don't forget to drop a like on this video as well if you're happy to see the Premier League back. So if those of you have forgotten what normally happens around here, we'll go through the results from game week 8 all the way from 2 weeks ago before looking ahead to the fixtures on game week 9. Let's get straight into it. So these were the fixtures from 2 weekends ago. Of course, 3 games called off for various reasons, obviously the Queen's funeral and the train strikes for Brighton and Crystal Palace. This is what I went for, and these were the results. And all in all, I've not really got any complaints. I would say the only real upset was Bournemouth getting a draw with Newcastle. Gutted I didn't get the points for Forest and Fulham after going for that 2-2 draw. Bizarrely, getting Tottenham, Leicester half correct by going for 3-1 when it was 6-2. And obviously getting the Manchester City Wolves score absolutely spot on. That meant that it was a game week score of 6, bringing my season tally so far up to 45. As always, please let me know down in the comments how you got on. And let's look ahead to a massive weekend of Premier League actions, including 2 huge derbies. And we start off with the first of those derbies. The first game of the weekend is the North London derby. It is top of the league Arsenal up against Spurs, and I think this is a tough one to call. I think this is a must-win game for both teams. I know that sounds bizarre to say this early on in the season, but I think Arsenal have to win. Firstly, to keep themselves at the top of the league, but also to prove their credentials as serious title challengers this season. And I think Tottenham need to win for the sole reason that they can't afford to fall that far behind Arsenal this early on. Now, in my opinion, and Arsenal fans might not forgive me for this, in my opinion, Arsenal really haven't faced tough opposition so far this season. And the one time they did, they lost. Whereas Tottenham have been seemingly consistent the whole way through. And I just look at the 2 teams on paper and I still think Tottenham are a better team. I know obviously the atmosphere may become a thing and the old adage of Spurs always bottle it under pressure, but I think as good as Tottenham's team is, combined with the fact that Arsenal have a couple of injuries, I just see Tottenham winning this one, and I'm going to go for 3-1 to Spurs. And like I said, if Arsenal fans choose not to forgive me, that is up to them, and fair play to you if you do manage to get the win. On to the 3 o'clocks on Saturday, and we start with Bournemouth and Brentford, 2 sides that really have been hard to predict so far this season. Brentford have been getting some good results, but then so have Bournemouth. So given that, I don't really know how to split them. I think it's going to be a very entertaining affair, and I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, which probably means it'll be 1-0 one way or the other. On to Crystal Palace and Chelsea, and Graham Potter's first opportunity at Premier League action. And again, I think this is a game that Chelsea should win, but Crystal Palace have been okay so far this season. Chelsea are desperately looking for form. So kind of like with the Arsenal-Tottenham one, I think Chelsea are probably the far superior team. Therefore, I'm just going to edge it in Chelsea's favour, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for them in that one. Next up, we have in-form Fulham up against, I would say, struggling for form Newcastle. 2 poor home results in their last 2 outings, and they go up against the Fulham side, currently sitting 6th in the table, and their former striker, Alexander Mitrovic, on absolute fire this season. So I'm going to go for a Fulham win again. I think if they keep playing the way they're doing, they will have too much for Newcastle. But in that same breath, it would not surprise me to see Newcastle get at least a draw in that one. Next up, we have Liverpool up against Brighton. And if it wasn't for Graham Potter leaving, I think this would have been a much tighter affair. Obviously, we're yet to see the impact of the new sort of setup coming in at Brighton. And they've not played for a month. So it is very interesting to see what Brighton are going to do. Liverpool have had plenty of time, of course, as well to sort themselves back out. I think they looked very good in their last Champions League game. So I would expect Liverpool to take this one. And I'm going to go for a 3-0 win for Liverpool there. Next is Southampton against Everton. And again, 2 teams that are still struggling for form, still struggling to get into a rhythm. Everton look very good at home, whereas they've not been so good away. Southampton have looked all right, but have been struggling for goals. So I think this is, again, a very, very tough one to call. I'm just going to go down the middle once again and go for a 1-1 draw. I genuinely think all three results are available in this one. Finally, on Saturday then, this is the Saturday evening game, the 5:30 game. It is West Ham against Wolves, and I think West Ham take this one. They, of course, as well, have been struggling for form recently, but a couple of good results in the last couple of games, to me, suggest that they're just about starting to get on that upward trend again. And I don't think Wolves have played particularly well. They've looked okay, but again, they're still lacking that killer instinct, I think. It'll be interesting to see who they play up front with Diego Costa now seemingly available. I'm going to go for 2-0 to West Ham. I think they should be beating Wolves, especially at home. So that is what I'm going to go for there. We start Sunday with the big Manchester derby, where United go to City off the back of several wins in a row, if you ignore that Europa League defeat to Real Sociedad. Also, City, of course, have been playing fantastically as well. Lots of wins in consecutive games for them as well. Look, I can't sit here, even as a Manchester United fan, and say that we're going to go to the Etihad and win. I think we can. I really do think we can, but I have to be realistic. And I look at Martinez, who, again, has been absolutely fantastic recently, but I look at him against Haaland, and I have to think that despite the fact that he would have prepared himself to play against tall players, and he obviously has his method of playing against tall strikers, I just think that it's not going to be very often he's come up against a tall striker that is also as good as Erling Haaland. So I do fear for Martinez against Haaland, and I think that is going to be an area that City are going to exploit an awful lot. On top of that, we do have some injuries going the other way. No Martial and no Rashford, so we're going to be struggling for pace the other direction. It'd be interesting to see if he plays Elanga and Antony, whether or not he plays Ronaldo or maybe a false nine in Bruno Fernandes up front. All in all, I think there are a lot of issues when it comes to Manchester United going into this game. So with all of that said, I think Manchester City will be taking this one relatively comfortably. I'm hoping, of course, that's not the case, but I have to be fair, and I'm going to go for a 3-0 win for Man City in that one. The second game on Sunday is Leeds against Aston Villa, and as always with Leeds, it's just kind of a roll of the dice, see what happens, flip a coin, who's going to get the result. Leeds do have several injuries, and I think Aston Villa have just about turned a corner in their last couple of games, so maybe a slightly controversial one, but I'm going to go for Aston Villa to get the win away at Elland Road, and yeah, we'll see. I think that one could prove to be a mistake, but I am going to go for Aston Villa in that one. And finally, it is the Monday Night Football, and it is bottom of the league, Leicester taking on Nottingham Forest, and quite frankly, given the way that Forest have been playing recently, if Leicester can't win this one, I think Brendan Rodgers' time is up. The Leicester board have been very generous in giving him the international break. I would have not been surprised at all if he would have been gone and a new manager would have been in place for this game. But Brendan Rodgers does stay, and I think he's got the squad available to him, and if he can get them playing the way that he knows they can, they will be far, far too strong for Nottingham Forest. So I'm going to give Leicester the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to give them the 3-1 win in this one. But like I say, it'll be very interesting to see what happens if they do fail. And that is going to be it for today's video. As always, all of these fixtures will be available in the description, allowing you to quickly copy and paste down into the comments, where you can then tell me what you think is going to happen. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you tomorrow for my fantasy football video for this game week as well.